We're going to actually keep it a little bit Canadians focused with Carey Price. We're going to unfortunately kind of keep it on a little bit of a sad note. To celebrate, it's a celebration of the life of Guy Lafleur and also Mike Bossy. We missed an episode last week, so we weren't able to pay our respects to Mike Bossy, and now we're going to do the same for Guy Lafleur. And I know I alluded to this being a bit of a celebration of kind of their lives and of their career and how they changed the game. So I'm going to kind of just go over some of their accolades and what they meant to the game. Guy Lafleur is a legend of the truest sense in Montreal Canadiens. He has 1,352 points in his 1,126 games. He is the franchise leader in points in Montreal Canadiens, the most decorated, historic franchise in the league. This is their leading point getter. He had 6 straight 50-goal seasons between 74-75 and 79-80. And he won 5 cups, 1 Conn Smythe, 3 Art Rosses, and 2 Hart trophies.
Wow.
That is an incredible resume. And from the stories that we've heard, the people that we've seen speaking over the past couple of days, not only was he a great player, but he seemed like a great person who kind of was really important for the progression of hockey in the 70s, and it was really sort of that superstar, that rock star who appeared to transcend the game.
Yeah, I think that was very well said. Moving on to Mike Bossy as well, when we look back on his career as an NHL hockey player, there's all this talk about Ovechkin and Gretzky being the best 2 goal scorers of all time. And, whether you agree with that or not, because of longevity matters, when you look at the highest goal per game average for all players in the NHL with a minimum of 200 goals played, Ovechkin and Gretzky are 7th and 8th all time with .61 and .6 goals per game. Do you know who's in first and second?
I have a feeling Mike Bossy is going to make an appearance at the top of that list. I'm not sure who's second, actually.
Mike Bossy is in first at .76 goals per game, followed by Mario Lemieux at .75 goals per game.
Wow.
Which is leaps and bounds better than the 2 that the hockey world almost ubiquitously calls the 2 best goal scorers of all time.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive career. He had 9 straight 50-goal seasons and 4 cups. I mean, if you're going to have a short career, that's a short career you want to have with those numbers. But I think we want to sort of build off of this conversation, have maybe a little more lighthearted or fun conversation. So we kind of talked about Ovi. I think it's fair to say Ovi's the best goal scorer of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of talked about who are some of the other best goal scorers of this generation besides Ovi, and can we put Matthews and Draisaitl sort of there as sort of maybe a 1-2 where they're there? Maybe that's not as up for discussion, but we want to just talk about maybe another guy who maybe is forgotten about. Let's say.
Sure. Let's. I'm interested to hear your take first, and then I'll go after you.
Okay. So, but beyond Leon and Matthews, Steven Stamkos, man.
Steven Stamkos.
He is so good. He got 100 points this season, somehow quietly. I think he had like 27 points in April or something to get there, which is incredible. But let me just start ripping off a couple of these stats that I have lined up, and it was sort of a stark reminder for me when I was reading just how good this guy is. So he scored 30-plus goals 7 times. And since 2010, he has the second most goals scored at 398 behind only Ovi. He has the 4th best goals per 60 behind Ovi, Matthews, and Kirill Kaprizov, actually. And he's 9th in even strength goals per 60. But there's guys like Boldy, Jason Robertson, Varana, Ross Colton, funnily enough, is ahead of him. And that's just, they don't have anywhere near the sample size. And take those guys out of it, he is 5th behind those same 3, Ovi, Matthews, Kaprizov, and McDavid. So this guy has been consistently doing it for over 10 to 15 years. He's just been so good, so solid. He can score in a variety of ways. He's renowned for that slap shot on the power play, but he is just so good. And hopefully he doesn't do this against the Leafs. But next year you can keep scoring, Steven.
It really breaks my heart that injuries took away the prime of that man's career.
Yeah.
He could have quite possibly been a top 5 goal scorer of all time.
Yeah, I don't think that's too far-fetched because he got some pretty big chunks of time taken away.
Yeah, well, look at the stats that you're given, and this is over a large enough sample size that we
Yeah.
can say he is a fantastic goal scorer. When I was doing my research, I thought the best goal scorers of our generation who aren't Ovechkin, Matthews, and Leon, the only correct answer was Steven Stamkos, and that's the
Yeah.
answer that you gave. But, for the purpose of discourse, I'm going to give the guy that I think is second to Steven
Okay,
Stamkos.
let's see.
Can you take a guess?
Well, the first guy that came to mind was David Pastrnak, but I don't know if that's who you have.
I don't have David
Okay.
Pastrnak, but that's a very good guess. I didn't consider him. My answer is Patrick Kane.
Ooh,
Patrick
Patty,
Kane has
yes.
429 goals in 1,101 games played, putting him at a career goals per game of .38. What's really crazy is that over the last 10 years, the most goals in the league have been Ovechkin at 441, John Tavares at 306,
Wow.
and then Patrick Kane at 303. They've all played a very similar number of games, like within 15 or 20 games of each other. I didn't say John Tavares because we did talk about goal scorers here, and I think John Tavares is more of a playmaker, all-around type of player.
That's fair.
So when I look at the best goal scorer of our generation, man, Patrick Kane has to be up there. 5 30-plus goal seasons, 2 40-plus goal seasons. In the prime of his career, was thought to be quite possibly the best goal scorer in the league next to Alex Ovechkin.
Oh, yeah.
This guy deserves a lot of respect.
Yeah, and I think he was still above a point a game this year on a pretty bad Chicago Blackhawks team. It's going to be, on a side note, really interesting to see if he gets traded this offseason or if he doesn't sign with them. Who's forking up the cash to get him? Because he's still very valuable, even at this age.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what Chicago does on this offseason, offloading contracts.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I know you talked about Austin and Draisaitl being left off this list because we wanted to talk about guys over an entire generation.
Yeah.
Can we move back and talk a little bit about what Austin has done over these last 6
True.
years?
You get to 60 since we last had an episode.
I didn't put Austin on this list because he's somewhat new to the league, and I didn't want people saying that we fanboy him. But listen to these stats.
Yeah.
In 404 games played, he has 257 goals. That's a goals per game of .64. That is
Holy
better.
smokes.
That is better than Ovechkin and Gretzky over their career. Now, I understand these are not the same because Austin has only done this for 6 years, and those guys did it for 15 plus.
Yes.
But right now, take into context how crazy it is that Austin Matthews on a goal per game basis is scoring at a higher pace than Ovechkin and Gretzky. And it's not like he's doing this over 2 seasons. It's been 6. It's been 6. Over the last 10 years, Alex Ovechkin has played 719 games and scored 441 goals. I did the math, and if you take Austin's 404 games and project them over the same 719, this pace puts Austin Matthews at 16 more goals than Ovechkin by the end of that time.
Wow.
Like I said, it's been over 6 seasons. The sample size is there. If Austin Matthews keeps doing what he's doing, he will without a doubt be the best goal scorer of his generation, and he might be better than Ovechkin. The reason why that is such a tough thing to say is because the best part of Ovechkin's game is his longevity.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. What are your thoughts to that?
Hey, I mean, I have a tough time disagreeing. Well, I can't disagree with the numbers because they're numbers, but those, what you said about him potentially being just as good, if not better than Ovi, I don't think that's that far-fetched. The numbers back it up. We've seen him actually develop the way he scores. He's been getting better and better. He didn't have a lucky rookie season. He had a good rookie season that he's just built upon and become even better. He scores in a variety of ways. He got 60 this year in, I think, 75 games or something like that. If he keeps this up, there's no question for me he ends up as one of the greatest goal scorers of this generation. But can we say all time potentially? That's far fetched, but who knows?
I think we can on a goals per game basis. He's literally up there with Mike Bossy and with Mario Lemieux. And once again, it's 6 seasons. It's not 15. So I'm not going to sit here and say that he's even close to those guys. But if he keeps doing what he's doing for the next 10 years, the stats are the stats, right?
Yeah.
Let's say one last thing before we hop off this goal scoring soapbox. I want to end this debate right here, and it's a debate that I used to be in favor of with respect to Leon Draisaitl. For anybody saying that Leon Draisaitl is a better goal scorer than Austin Matthews over the last 10 years, Leon Draisaitl has played 150 more games than Austin Matthews and has scored 4 less overall goals. It's not even close.
No.
Combine that with Draisaitl taking his skates off in the defensive zone, and Austin Matthews getting Selke votes this year. Give me a break. If you say Austin Matthews is greater than Leon Draisaitl this year, You just don't understand hockey. He's got more overall goals, more 5-on-5 goals, better defender. It's not even close.
I think you just misspoke. You said if you don't think Matthews is greater than Draisaitl, if you think Matthews is greater than Draisaitl, you're crazy. I wanted to correct you before guys come for our heads, because
if you
that tends to happen on TikTok. There's some hurt feelings there.
If you think Leon Draisaitl is greater than Austin Matthews, you're crazy.
Yeah, I agree. And that's not even a slight at Leon Draisaitl. He's still one of the best 5 players in the league. We're just kind of calling it as it is here. Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer in the league. Are there things that Draisaitl does better than him? Yeah, probably. But when it comes to this and it comes to two-way play, there's no question.
The only reason Austin Matthews isn't seen as the best goal scorer in the league by everybody on the planet is because he wears the maple leaf. That's just the answer.
Yeah.
Right? And
It's true.
people are going to hate. Let them hate. It's not even close.